And it was so frustrating because I was like, girl, there is something wrong with me. Like, it is not normal to have your period for 4 months straight. Like, that is not normal. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Hamali, and I'm basically like your internet big sis. I give you advice, I tell stories, and I talk about all the things that nobody wants to talk about. So in this video, I really need to catch you guys up on my life because things have been hectic. A few weeks ago, I actually ended up dislocating my shoulder twice in 2 days. And I mean, like, this isn't really surprising for me. It might be for you guys because I don't really talk about the fact that my shoulder dislocates often, but I've dislocated my shoulder probably well over like 15 times at this point in my life. So I'm used to it by now, which is sad to say. But yeah, I've been in and out of the doctor's office and going to physio because I just need to figure out what's going on with it. Like, it just happens way too often. And I feel like as I get older, I'm like, I can't just let it be. Like, I'm not young anymore, and if I just kind of let it be, then it's just going to get worse over time. So I really need to do something to fix it or prevent it from happening again. That's the issue. As you start to get older, your body just starts to break down. Also, over the past couple of years, I've been getting a lot of content, especially on TikTok, about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and so I was looking into it and I was like, maybe this is something that I have. If you don't know what it is, Ehlers-Danlos is a hypermobility disorder. So basically, like, I'm just extra flexible, and I don't know if it's like the actual syndrome I have or if I just like have hypermobility, but that was something that I was talking to my doctors about. And I've actually been asking this question to a few doctors over like the last, I would say, like 3-4 years of my life. Or if it wasn't specifically about Ehlers-Danlos, I was just like asking if there is something wrong with me, because I feel like the way my shoulder dislocates, it just like happens so often. And then on top of that, I'm just very flexible in other ways, and I get a lot of like joint pains and muscle pains and things like that. So I've always felt like in the back of my mind, there's been something wrong with my body. And for years now, they've just been saying, no, it's fine, don't worry about it. So anyways, when I went to the doctor this time around, my doctor was concerned because obviously she knows I've dislocated my shoulder before. And I was like, I need to go to like a specialist at this point because I feel like this is just happening way too often. Finally, this time around, I feel like I've been taken a little bit more seriously. My doctor was like, I'll send you to a shoulder specialist. So I'm gonna go see one of those, like, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then the guy that I've been going to for physio actually told me that I do have hypermobility. And I was like, okay, everyone's always been telling me that I don't. And it's finally nice to hear that someone agrees that I have hypermobility, because I really do have all the signs for it. Hearing my physio guy tell me that I am hypermobile gave me such a sense of relief, because it was something I was thinking about for so long. And now I just don't feel crazy anymore, and I feel like I can figure out a plan of how to actually properly take care of myself. Because when medical professionals keep telling you that there's nothing wrong, then you're just gonna keep living your life the way you are. You're not gonna make any changes or make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the way you need to. And when I got that confirmation and didn't feel like I was crazy, and I got that sense of relief, it kind of transported me back to when I was 22, 23, and I was trying to get help for my period. For those of you who don't know my story, I'll just give you like a little bit of background. I used to have a ton of period problems. I used to get my period like for weeks on end. I would just constantly be bleeding. There was one point where I had my period for 4 months straight, and it was honestly so exhausting. I was on and off of birth control, but birth control made me like batshit crazy. And so I was trying to figure out how to get off birth control, but also how to regulate my period. And every time I went to the doctors, they would just tell me that nothing was wrong. They would run tests and be like, oh, all your tests came back normal, so there's nothing wrong with you. Sometimes women just have irregular periods. And like, that was it. And all they would do is just like keep prescribing me birth control. And it was so frustrating because I was like, girl, there is something wrong with me. Like, it is not normal to have your period for 4 months straight. Like, that is not normal. Stop telling me that it is. And the more they pushed birth control on me and the longer I was on it, the more I was having intense mood swings, and it caused me to go into a really like deep depression and have a lot of anxiety, because I don't know if it was directly, like if the anxiety and depression was directly linked to the birth control, but it was definitely linked to the fact that I was having these crazy mood swings, because I was just so anxious I'd have them in public. And I was just so depressed that I was living like this. And it got so bad to the point that I started having thoughts of like wanting to unalive myself. And when I mentioned that to my doctor, all she did was prescribe me antidepressants. Man, I was so frustrated. I remember when she was like prescribing them to me, or like when she was like talking about taking them, I just started bawling, because I was like, that's not the solution I want. I don't want to just keep like popping pills for the rest of my life. Like there's obviously something wrong with me. I need a diagnosis for something. Like you guys aren't even looking further into this. You're running some basic tests and there's like no further thought into this. All they were offering me was just like band-aid solutions. It was like just giving me pills to get me to shut up about what I was going through. And I can't even begin to tell you how completely like defeated I felt in that situation, because I just so desperately wanted to know why this was happening to me. Like I didn't want to just keep popping pills and ignore the problem. I wanted to get to the root of the problem. And that's one thing that really pisses me off about the healthcare system and the way doctors are trained. Like I don't blame the doctors, but it's the way they're trained and like how the healthcare system works. They're just like constantly prescribing pills like it's candy. Oftentimes a lot of doctors don't actually like care to get to the root of the problem, especially when it comes to women and their hormonal problems. There's very little research done on it. And so the only solution that they have for it is birth control, but birth control comes with an insane amount of side effects. Like when I tell you I used to get mood swings, they weren't just like, oh, I would get a little bit angry. It was like, I felt like I turned into the freaking Hulk. Like it was rage. I would see red. I would turn into someone that I wouldn't even recognize. It was so freaking scary. And the only solution they had to that was to put me on antidepressants. Like, thinking back about it, I feel so bad for my younger self. Like, I wish I could just like hug her, because that was a really scary time in my life. Like, I don't think I've ever felt so alone before, because I didn't know anyone else that was having this problem, and I just didn't know who to turn to anymore. The people that I thought would help me, medical professionals, just kept gaslighting me and telling me everything was okay when it clearly wasn't. And thank God I'm a stubborn person and very like strong-willed. I'm not gonna say stubborn. I feel like stubborn has a negative connotation. I'm very strong-willed. And I was determined to find a solution to what was happening to me and figure out like the root cause of my problem. So that's how I started on my healing journey, and why I talk about mental health so much, because so much of my hormonal issues were related to my mental health and how bad it was. And just like a little side note, if you're, dealing with some health problems right now and all your tests are coming back normal and there's like really no solution and nobody knows what's wrong, try working on your mental health, because your nervous system helps regulate your body. And so oftentimes if your nervous system is out of whack and you have high cortisol levels, then it could start affecting the physical functioning of your body. Like, you have to remember your mind, body, and soul are all connected. And the issue with the medical system is that they separate the mind from the body, but they go hand in hand. Once I started healing my mental health, my physical health started becoming so much better, and my period started to regulate. So if that's something you're struggling with, I would highly recommend, starting therapy, maybe going to Reiki, working on your mental health, doing things to like reduce stress in your life. Anyways, I'm getting a little off track, but because I was so strong-willed, I was trying to find solutions on my own. I was determined to figure out what was wrong with me. Just to give you a little bit of a timeline, this started happening to me in 2015, 2016, and I was in and out of doctors for like 3 years before my friend in 2018 told me to try Reiki. And at that point, because I was feeling so defeated, I was willing to try anything. If you don't know what Reiki is, it's basically like energy healing, and it's supposed to like take all the negative energy and clear it out of your body, out of your like soul. So I tried it out, and honestly it was life-changing for me. I don't know if it was because it actually works. I think for me, because I do believe in energy and that we're all made up of energy, that I had faith in it. So that's why I feel like it worked for me, because I was like really open and receptive to it. It started helping me like clear up my mind and realize that I was holding a lot of stress in my life, and I needed to make some changes on how I was going to reduce that stress. And, you know, within a year, there was just so many changes that happened. I basically decided to move out of my house. I got engaged. I dropped my friends of 10 years. Like it just really, yeah, opened my mind to a lot of things, and helped me kind of see my life for what it really was, and take off my rose-colored glasses. And because Reiki opened my eyes to how much stress that was happening in my life, and I was like now actively working towards reducing it, my periods started to become a little bit more regular. It wasn't perfect, but it definitely was so much better than it was before. And eventually I realized through some research that I had PMDD. And if you guys want a story on how I discovered I had PMDD, let me know. I can make a whole nother video on that, because the way I figured it out was actually insane, and it involved Kanye West. Anyways, when I finally realized I had PMDD, I took it to my doctor and I was like, hey, I think I have this. And she went through like a checklist with me, and she was like, yeah, okay, I think you probably do too. Since then, I've done so many things to try to help manage it. And through a lot of trial and error, I've gotten to a point in my life where I feel like I've been able to manage my PMDD naturally. I don't need to be on birth control. I've reduced the mood swings like tenfold. Like it's actually insane how much I'm able to manage my emotions now compared to before. Like before, it felt like these mood swings would come out of nowhere. Now I can anticipate them. I can feel them coming on. I can prepare myself and actually put in place healthy coping mechanisms so that I just don't go out of whack and have like a manic episode. It's honestly crazy to see how much I've progressed in my health journey, and how my health is completely different from when I was 23 and struggling with all this to now at 31 and feeling like everything is so much more manageable, and I feel like happy in my life again. Like this is probably the last 2 years is the first time I've felt truly like happy in my life. The years before that were such a struggle, just trying to figure out everything that was going on. I know if you're struggling with PMDD or PMS and you want to know how I naturally manage it, I made a whole other get ready with me about that. I've linked it in the description below or like up here somewhere. But yeah, my life has been a complete 180 from what it was when I was like 23 trying to figure out my health. I feel so grateful for that, and I feel so proud of myself for being strong-willed and figuring it out, and figuring it out in a more natural way where I'm not constantly on pills. And don't get me wrong, like there's nothing wrong with taking medication. If there's medication out there that works for you and is helping you, then by all means do not feel ashamed that you need to take it. But for me personally, the birth control was like actually making things so much worse, and then they were gonna add antidepressants on it, and I just knew that like I wasn't gonna be myself anymore if I like succumbed to that. I just didn't know how many more drugs that I would need to keep taking. And I know with like antidepressants, you need to find the right combination that works for you, because not all of them, you know, have the same effect, and whatever. So like it was just not a process that I wanted to go through. For years, I honestly thought I was going to like struggle forever. I felt, like I said, just so defeated and hopeless. They were just really dark times, and I was just so lonely. And I wish I could just go back and tell my younger self, like, I'm so proud of her for not taking no for an answer and being strong-willed and figuring things out, and, you know, not succumbing to being gaslit by doctors. Because, you know, while everyone is telling you you're crazy and there's nothing that you can do and this is just your life now, like I didn't want to listen to them. And I feel like now I'm in such a better place. Thank God. Like it was hard to get here, but I made it, and I just like wish I could meet my younger self and tell her how proud I am of her for like going through it all and figuring it out, because I know she was just so scared and lonely and frustrated and she was just constantly crying for help and no one wanted to help her, but she figured it out. And here I am now at 31, I think living my best life. And just to bring this all back to my dislocated shoulder and the fact that I've been trying to figure out if I'm hypermobile or not or whatever, I'm sharing these stories because I want you to know how important it is to advocate for yourself. There are just so many things wrong with the healthcare system, especially when it comes to women's health, and oftentimes women really do not get the medical attention that they need. So often we're told it's just in our head, or that it's just our hormones, our period, or that we're overweight, or whatever it is. But if you genuinely feel like something is wrong, please do not be afraid to get multiple opinions or research different routes to figure out your health. Because if you don't do it for yourself, then trust me, no one else will. And obviously this goes for men too, but I say women especially because there's a lot of biases when it comes to healthcare for women. Oftentimes the medical system treats us like we're small men when we're not. Our bodies are completely different. So yeah, do not be afraid to advocate for yourself. I know it can be exhausting because obviously the system isn't always in our favor, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, before I end off this video, I just wanna share that this is in no way any hate towards the medical system or towards doctors and medical professionals. You know, there are a lot of great medical systems out there and medical professionals out there that are, you know, really there to help patients and advocate for their health. But unfortunately, there are also parts of the system and some medical professionals that aren't really there to do that. And it might be more of a profit thing, or it might be more constraints on the doctor's end, or the way that they've been taught, whatever it is. So I don't want this video to kind of defer you from getting the help that you need. It's more just me encouraging you to advocate for yourself and not be afraid to go to multiple different people if you need to. Unfortunately, I had the experience in my 20s where I just wasn't given the right medical care, and I really did have to advocate for myself. And now that I'm in my 30s and I've done that before and I know what I'm looking for within a doctor, I've been fortunate enough to receive proper medical care. Like the doctor that I'm with now is absolutely amazing. She always advocates for my health and tries to figure out what's wrong and takes my concerns seriously. And so I've been fortunate enough to receive great medical care and also unfortunate enough to not. And I'm sharing this video to really help give voice to the people that feel very frustrated in their health journey and feel like they haven't been taken seriously, because I've been there before and I know how awful it can feel and how draining the process can be and how frustrating it can be, because you feel so like gaslit when you know that there's something wrong and no one is listening to you. So yeah, this video is really just to say, you know, I've been there before, and my best piece of advice I can give to you is do not stop advocating for yourself. Anyways, you know the drill. All the products that I used are linked on my LTK. The link is in the description below. And if you did like this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel, and maybe even share it with someone that needs to see it. As always, thank you so much for all the love and support you guys constantly show me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!